our accumulated goods have become mere stuff, deaf and dumb, and dead consumables. Christ becomes the only image left in the kingdom for bringing back to our culture the fundamental invisibility upon which cultures have always rested. Fundamentalism attempts literally and dogmatically to recover the invisible foundations of culture. Its strength lies in what it seeks, its menace in how it proceeds. Christ as bridge, and isn't the Pope Vicar of Christ still called the Pontiff, for pons, bridge? Because the incarnation means the presence of the invisible in the common matter of walking around human life, a God, man, visible and invisible, becomes one. Centuries of huge and vicious debates have attempted to split the unity by coming down on one side or the other. Jesus is really a divinely inspired but visible man. Christ is really the invisible God, borrowing human shape. Some glue, some independent link was required to hold these two theological incommensurables together. A third turn that was included from the other, too, and that could join mortal and immortal. This third person, Christian theology named the Holy Ghost, but this figure, too, belongs among the invisibles, which still tilts the balance away from the world. So the debate goes on, as it should, because the relation between these two terms gives rise to metaphysical speculation and religious practices that keep the problematic idea of the invisible from slipping away. Besides, the debate gives rise to this chapter's focus upon the often strained relation during school years between the invisible acorn and the life of the person with whom it lives. The theological debates can teach us a major psychological lesson. What we learn is less about belief in the union of two incommensurables or about explanations of their mysterious connection than about what happens when they part. Psychopathology prompts sharper psychological insight than do spiritual ideals and formula. A negative approach sheds the harshest light. The most pathologized moment in the entire incarnational story is the cry on the cross, which tells of the agony when one is encompassed only by the visible world. Enemies surrounded Jesus all through his 30 years, and though he was opposed and pursued, he was never so besieged as at that moment. The world of humans, of nature, and of things had become savage and hostile. Hitherto the world had been permeated with invisibilities, a condition that Christianity called paganism. When the invisibles forsakes the actual world as it deserts Job, leaving him plagued with every sort of physical disaster, then the visible world no longer sustains life, because life is no longer invisibly backed. Then the world tears you apart. Isn't that the simple lesson taught by the withering and collapse of tribal cultures? Once they are robbed of their spirits in exchange for goods, the co-presence of visible and invisible sustains life. We come to recognize the overriding importance of the invisible. Only when it deserts, when it turns its back and disappears, like Huldra in the forest, or Uwai at Golgotha. The great task of a life-sustaining culture then is to keep the invisible attached, the gods smiling and pleased, to invite them to remain by propitiations and rituals, by singing and dancing, smudging and chanting, by anniversaries and remembrances, by great doctrines such as the Incarnation, and by little intuitive gestures such as touching wood, or by fingering beads, a rabbit's foot, a shark's tooth, or by putting a mezuzah on the doorpost, dice on the dashboard, or by quietly laying a flower on a polished stone. All this has nothing to do with belief, and so it also has nothing to do with superstition. It is merely a matter of not forgetting that the invisibles can go away, leave you with nothing but human relationships to cover your back. As the old Greeks said of their gods, they ask for little, just that they not be forgotten. Myths keep their demonic realm invisibly present. So do folk tales, like that of the woodsman, who dropped his axe and its cutting edge, going deeper and deeper to keep close to that smiling. Dancing on the end of times is the poet's chair. Seats on the sun. Poets dancing on the end of times is the poet's chair. Seeds on the sun, flowing from the ink, blinded to the turning page of the horizon. Sowing seeds of light from the ink blood in the edges of time. When the page turns again into light, the soul unfits another page. The soul unfolds another page, the same old poem, first to feel the light of the sun. Any rhythm begins with what you feel, light of the sun. All peoples sweeping through the light of the sun, perpetuate, copulate, fluctuate, grow and dissipate in the light of the sun. to the world. These pages turning surges, keepers of the right. Seeds on the sun, the river rolls the edges of town, circling through the sun, flames burning through the night, flowing through the sun, complete soul of higher sun. The love of all in each own inner light, the power to create our dreams, balance of light, coming through in the sun, forever be done. This time there we be, here we come, there we stay, the power to create through our dreams. In the balance of the light, flowing through the sun. Jeremy the Riverlord DJ. Today we're going to read another chapter from The Lion People. The chapter of lion consciousness and the law of synchronicity. Or as I like to say, meet my friend Unison. While it has been scientifically established that minute particle can communicate with each other over vast areas of space, Rupert Sheldrake, Ph.D. and Cambridge former Frank Knox Fellow at Harvard University and Research Fellow of the Royal Society, who specializes in biochemistry, cellular biology, and philosophy, has recently observed that this phenomenon is by no means limited to the subatomic world. Random groupings of cells, he notes, appear to correspond between themselves for the purpose of organizing into distinct colonies for specific tasks. Nor are communications between fish, birds, and animals subject to sidereal or spatial limitations, many species being capable of effecting instantaneous telepathic contact over immense distances. To these phenomena, Sheldrake has applied the term morphic resonance. Taking these facts into consideration, the possibility of mental telepathy between ourselves and intelligences in other parts of the universe does not seem so far-fetched. Looking at it logically, morphic resonance should apply just as much to human beings as it does to the aforementioned substances and other living creatures. And if this is a constant principle which scientific research would appear to indicate, who is to say which amongst us is or not able to negotiate or employ it? Many who are keenly interested in seeking beyond the exoteric, either scientifically or philosophically, have lost faith in the ability of ordinary people to come up with genuine answers. Centuries of bogus or untrustworthy religious leaders, philosophers, scientists, and politicians have caused them to look elsewhere for answers to life's enigmas. These are the folk who, when told about a new discovery or philosophy, will inquire, but where did you get it from? Should you tell them that it was your own invention, or that it was given to you by Mr. X down the road? They may curtly inquire, what do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Why, he's nobody. The implication being that someone from their own background or culture cannot possibly come up with the right answers. A prophet is not without honor, save in his own country and his own name, says the good book. How very true! But hint at the work of some learned professor or hidden source of knowledge, such as a Tibetan temple or Indian guru, apostolic personage, or medium entranced by an Egyptian priest from 3000 BC, and the tune changes. On the other side of the fence, there are those who staunchly proclaim that anything purporting to come from the sources occult, religious, metaphysical, or extraterrestrial must automatically be the ramblings of a deranged mind. A money-making ego trip, or the disguised voice of somebody who hasn't the courage to stand up and say what he or she really thinks. With all this, contend with anyone trying to introduce new ideas under their own name would seem to be in for big trouble from all quarters. By the time society has informed them of who they are and who they are not, they would need to be very brave and confident people to carry out their own banners. Taking into account that I recorded the earliest of these dialogues in 1980 and have been adding to them ever since during the last few years. A whole food of information and flood of information has surfaced which reinforces my belief that the Bachat's papers are most certainly not fragmented aspects of a higher self, lower self, misplaced frustrated energies, or anything of the like. The first confirmation I received from an outside source was through a young lady who, while sitting with a psychic group in Liverpool, had been visited by a Bachat and given a similar tale. Since then, further conformity stories have flooded to me. In the writings of American authors Brad and Francie Steiger, whose books include The Star People, The Seed, Revelation, The Divine Fire, and Gods of Aquarius, it is postulated that our planet was visited in eons past by space travelers who were responsible for the missing human evolutionary link. This information apparently struck strong chords with many people who had similar childhood experiences to my own. As a result of public reaction to his theories, Steiger instituted a questionnaire designed to collect data that might reveal some common connecting thread. The result of this survey revealed many similarities between people who felt they had connections with other worlds. These consisted of, among other things, unusual blood types, an attraction to crystals, very low body temperatures, extreme susceptibility to cold hypersensitivity to pain, an affinity to the star Sirius, a sympathy towards certain animals, and many, many more. After considering the data that emerged from Steiger's survey, I am left with little doubt that I must into his star seed category, and that my essence is not of the hominid impulse. But apparently I am far from alone. In several of my books I have thrown out veiled hints regarding a connection between Earth and the Sirius system, without actually mentioning aliens of any kind or communications therewith. Yet I have received letters from many parts of the world from people claiming Sirius connections, who have either experienced a strong lion consciousness and have close affinities with felines of all kind, or feel strangely drawn to crystals. Nor are my communicators maladjusted dropouts. They are found among the highly qualified professional classes in equal number to young New Age claimants. In fact, many of them have never mentioned their feelings to anyone else, including their nearest and dearest. The Pashat's information regarding the role to be played by Sirius in the future of this planet is re-echoed in the secret teachings of the Hopi Indians of North America, who refer to Sirius as the blue star Kachina. A recent article in a popular British magazine mentions the Hopi's age-old belief that people from Sirius system came to this Earth some 250,000 years ago, when they deposited time capsules, some of which they believe will be triggering off during the period of from 1986 onwards. Relevant works by other authors have also come to my notice. The Lion Path, whose author is distinguished Doctor of Physics and Mathematics, writing under the pseudonym of Musaeus, and Karen Kendall's Cat Tarot cards, with their accompanying story of a strange, mystical, feline-dominated world, are but two examples. Many other well-known and established occultists and physicists are also starting to affect Pashat connections. A friend of mine visiting a large conference in California collected some of the speaker's literature, which she thought might interest me. One particular logo consisted of a stylized feline head, from which energy lines or rays of light streamed forth, caught my eye. I wrote to the lady in question, Mimi Donner Levine, whose brochure informed me that she trained at Columbia University College of Pharmacy as a bacteriologist and medical technologist. Among other things, she had organized an independent group of psychologists, psychiatrists, and social scientists to research mind, brain, personality, and ESP factors. She also practices astrology and has lectured and taught at the United Nations, Seton Hall, Rutgers, and made many leading universities and conferences worldwide. I received a charming reply in which Miss Donner Levine explained that the feline logo was actually a white tiger with blue eyes, and that had appeared to her in meditation, and which had the wisest eyes only one could imagine. Its message to her was a profoundly spiritual one, encouraging her, among other things, to rely more fully on her own wisdom, potential, and less on book knowledge. Miss Donna Levine tells me she has since researched the history and legends of the white tiger, and has discovered some interesting facts relating to its esoteric symbolism. Here we have yet another manifestation of feline wisdom, illuminating and overshadowing an obviously brilliant and enlightened lady. Another recent book, Incredible Cats, the secret powers of your pet. My experimental psychologist, David Green, outlines some of the very amazing facts that have emerged from a psychological study of feline behavioral patterns. Cats, Dr. Green tells us, use extrasensory perception to predict danger to themselves, their companions, and their owners. Perform intellectually demanding tasks so difficult that many humans could not accomplish them. Give early warning of natural disasters. Cure apparently hopeless cases of mental and physical illness. Save people from apparently inescapable injury or death. Trace down their owners across thousands of miles. Survive accidents that would spell certain death to almost any other creature. Communicate eloquently with other animals and humans by means of complex language of sounds, movements, and odors. Green cites several near miraculous instances of healing received from felines, and explains how the cat's ability to soothe and comfort sick minds and bodies is now being recognized in therapeutic centers in many parts of the world. He first observed the beneficial effects of cats while working with mentally sick and socially deprived youngsters. And his book is packed with scientific facts and clinical observations to support all that he has to say. Joseph Wilder, another researcher into animal telepathy, states in his book, Psychic Pets, that the cat is the most psychic of all creatures and designed for total awareness. If felines have this much to offer in their less dominant mode here on Earth, consider the potentialities of a highly evolved form of their species, the Passach, for example. At the conclusion of a seminar I was conducting recently in Yorkshire, I was approached by a medium who works in close cooperation with a Dutch psychiatrist. While sitting with her group, she and another psychic present experienced vision of a beautiful, ethereal-like lion, reminiscent of C.S. Lewis's Aslan, although neither party was familiar with the Narnia Chronicles. The background of the vision was an arid desert across which the creature bound gracefully. Grass and a profusion of beautiful flowers sprang forth wherever its feet touched the ground, and the accompanying message, which was registered quite clearly by several members of the group, was, "The Leonic ones are coming. We bring joy and love and will be with you soon to help you." There have been many incidents during and after Passat-inspired lectures I have given when established and reliable psychics present have noticed something different about my contact. On one occasion, I was approached by two very puzzled young women who hesitated to put their question to me. Finally, curiosity overcame their embarrassment, and one timidly inquired, "Tell us, please, Miss Hope, why is it that while you were talking, your face changed completely? We both saw it, didn't we?" The other lady nodded in agreement. "This is quite normal when one is being overshadowed," I replied. But her friend pursued the question. "Yes, we know that. We've seen it happen before." But why did your face look like a lion's and not a person's? I smiled and explained about the Pashats. 2 other ladies I have met recently confided in me that they had Pashat contacts, but until our path crossed, had found no one else with whom they could share this information. Just 2 more of many similar incidents of Pashat's awareness outside of my own that I have encountered since my return to the public platform. The Pasach obviously have a profound knowledge of human psychology, which is why they are able to affect morphic resonance with many people in the world today. Following the publication of The Way of Kartosh in the United States, letters have poured in thick and fast, and several correspondents were quick to pick up my hints about Sirius. Although there is no mention in the book of Passats or anything resembling them, I have received several letters from people who have a far memory of being something other than a hominid, but who have been too shy or embarrassed to tell this to anyone else. Among these were 2 people with distinct Pashat memories, and others who recalled being a plant person on a planet in Sirius system, who could take up root and move at will. There had been no previous connection whatsoever between myself and these people who have contacted me. My Passat writings being unpublished at the time, they have arrived at their own conclusion, or drawn their memories from their own subconsciousness, or the collective unconsciousness of the Pashat papers, crystal people. It would appear that adults are not the only ones drawn to the concept of feline helpers from outer space. The American cartoon serial Thundercats. Oh! The existence of which I have only recently become acquainted. Well, not me. Also spells this theme, and it apparently enjoys great popularity among children on both sides of the Atlantic. Me, yep. Yeah, love that show. No, there are, now back to the papers. No, there are far too many Pashats about now for them to be purely figments of my own or anyone else's imagination. The lion theme is slowly merging into the collective unconsciousness of Homo sapiens. But then surely that is as it should be in accordance with the law of synchronicity. Especially if we from this small blue planet are destined to have knowledge of and ultimately meet with the denizens of other time zones. All in the mind, is it? Well, perhaps we may take comfort from the words of Albert Einstein. Imagination is greater than us all. Actually, he said, imagination is greater than knowledge. All talk is all talk. All talk is all talk. And said, Mr. Politician, with your Tweedledee and Tweedledum bipartisanship. All talk is all talk. I think you came up with it just to have a scapegoat. You can always blame the other side. It's easy to start a war for sale. Profiteering off of killing more and more and more and more. All talk is all talk. If you had to fight your own battles, would you still be selling? It's your dirty walk. All talk is all talk. All talk is all talk. All talk is all talk. Pressing buttons ain't no warrior's way. Well, if you had to still fight hand to hand count back, would you still be targeting Solus alone? All talk is all talk. 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 This burst of one of love in the land of the brave. This burst of fire in the land of the brave, born of love from the fire of creation to make a happy home in the land of the brave. This burst of fire in the land of the brave. Burn dry in danger, stand stout and proud in the land of the brave. America did wrong, now and on. Forevermore, born of love between us all, equal. equally in the land of the brave. This burst of fire in the land of the brave, born of love. There's the fire of creation to build civilization, a happy home for the land of the brave, born of love between us all, to treat all equally, born of fire in the land of the brave. Going in, jump right in. Going in, jump right in for a swim. Deep within, going in. Jump right in, deep within, exploring, peace of mind, deep within the heart, speak your mind, like you know your mind, everything will be just fine. If you just speak your mind, going in, jump right in, for a swim deep within, exploring that peace of mind. I can feel patterns in the dark, making love's design, swimming through the love we find, flowing like a river through all time, going in, jump right in, for a swim, deep within, exploring that peace of mind, deep within, speak your mind, everything will be just fine, like you know your mind. Going in, jump right in.